Ayola, what's up? Okay, so my friend's birthday is coming up, and she loves cats. And I so happen to know how to make a little candy cat. And I'm going to make her one. And since I'm making her one, might as well make a tutorial, right? So this is a candy cat tutorial with yours truly, a random girl on the internet. Anyways, we'll need string. We'll need a lot of it, so you might want to kind of overestimate how much you'll need. And if you happen to run out, just pass them on real quick. I recommend um just get a bunch of string. But yep, here's my string. Anyways, then you'll need pony beads because pony beads are I don't know what I was gonna say. Pony beads are the beads. Okay. So I always recommend getting an even number of beads. I mean, you can use however many you want, but I would recommend an even number, and that is because I have only ever tried doing it with even number. Don't know what to like to do with odd number, and I don't want to try. So yeah, I recommend doing an even number. Um, Depending on how many beads you use, that's how big your cat's gonna be. Like, this is the first one I ever made. I can't remember how many I used. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is 20 beads. Like, the size is about 20 beads. So if you want, like, this size, start off 20 beads. So I'm gonna do like a little smaller. I'm gonna do like, well, not a little smaller. It's probably gonna be a lot smaller. I'm just gonna do 10 beads. So however many beads you're gonna use, just put the beads on the string. Okay, so now that we have our beads on our string, we are going to tie it into a circle. I recommend doing it 4 or 5 times. So I'm going to have a little mini cat. So yeah, this space determines like the size of your cat. Again, for reference, this is about like 2 times this. Oh shoot, 2 times this. This is 20, and that'll give you like a kind of like a normal size kitty. This one will give you like a mini kitty, and you can also make it however long you want. I'm probably gonna make this like medium. But to the main base is gonna be multi-stitch. And once you get the hang of it, it won't be that bad. This is pretty like easy once you get the hang of multi-stitch. This is mainly multi-stitch and a little ladder stitching at the end. So we're going to cut off the excess. Where on earth are my scissors? There's my scissors. Okay. Now for this part, I would recommend using a needle. I just find it's easier to use a needle. Okay. Tie that on. Okay. So, and I also recommend like going through like the closest bead. So like either the left or right. I'm just gonna go in for the left bead. Okay, now we're ready to start putting the beads on. So what we're gonna do is we are going to skip a bead, then go for the next bead. So basically, Okay. So the strings coming out of this speed right here, we aren't gonna go through this speed, we're gonna go through this speed. So skip a bead, go through this speed. And we're gonna do the same thing again. So there you go. So strings coming out of strings coming out of the speed, we're going to skip this speed and go through the speed. Where's the color I need? There you go. My beads are badly mixed up. So, we're going to repeat that all throughout. So once again, strings coming out of the speed, we are going to skip the speed and go through the speed. And then again, strings coming out of the speed, skip the speed, go through the speed right here. Okay, and then one more time. String is coming out of the speed, skip the speed, go through this speed right here. Yeah. Okay. After that, we are going to go through. I gotta get in camera. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go for this top bead right here. So once you put on that final bead, we're gonna go through the top bead. And now we're just gonna fill in what needs to be filled in. So like there's not a bead here, you put a bead there. Like that, and that's starting our row. That's not starting, finishing our row 2. So we're just gonna keep doing that. So like whenever there's like a bead missing, we just put a bead there. Like that. And we just keep doing that all the way around. Okay, so I'm on the last bead for the second row. Then once you put this bead on, we're also going to go through the top bead right here. And that's the first bead we put on for the second row. So we're going through this bead to finish off the second row. Right there, and now the string is coming out of this bead. Now we're going to go through this top bead right here. And then we're going to start on the third row. And we're just going to repeat that until you get to the desired length you want. I'm going to show it one more time, since it might be a little bit easier to see since I'm working on a new color. It's a little hard to see on my computer camera. But string is coming out of this bead right here. We're going to go through this. We're going to go through this bead to complete the row we're working on, and then we're going to go through this bead as well to start working on the next one. So needle's going in for that bead. And then we're going through this bead right here to start filling up the empty spaces in that row. And then once we fill in that should complete my third row. Yeah. Alrighty, so I'm just now finishing up the last row I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna start closing it up. Okay, so this is where it's gonna start changing a little bit. So, string is coming out of this bead right here. This one. So, instead of going through this bead and having like a bead on the string, we're gonna go through it with no bead. So, just going through that, no bead, just go through it. And as you can see, it kind of tightened it up a little bit. It's a little hard to see on camera, but it kind of tightens it up a little bit. And then, okay, so string's coming out of this one. When we go for this one, we are going to have a bead on it. So, I'm going to use a little of a lighter color. Hopefully that'll help a little bit. But when we go for this one, we're going to go on it with a bead this time. There we go. And then we're going to go through strings coming out of this bead. When we go through this bead, no bead on the string again. Just go through it. And see, the hole's getting tighter. Alright. Now, strings coming out of this bead. When we go through this bead, we are going to have a bead on the string. Basically, we're going no bead on string to bead on string. That's the pattern. Go through next one. No bead on string. And then finally, we're going to have one more bead on the string. So, string's coming out of this bead. When we go through this one, we're going to have a bead on the string, and we're also going to go through this light brown one right here. Or for me, it's light brown. Yours might be a different color, but whatever that's the first bead we put on the row, and we're going to go for that one. Okay, so now we're going to go through these 3 points all with beads. So, there we go. No, wrong color, oops. Okay, so, bead on string, go through, so, string's coming out of this one, we're going through this one. Alright. String is coming out of this bead, so we're going to go through this bead with a bead on the string. So we're not doing no bead on string, we're doing all bead on string this time around. Once again, go through this one. And we're also going to go through this one as well. This is the first bead we added on this row. Tighten it up. And as you can see, it's pretty close. We're going to add one more bead. But instead of going through, so like, string is coming out of here. Instead of going through this one, that's the closest one, we're going to go through this one. So we're going to skip a bead and go through this one right here. So like, I'll try to show it better. Once I find the bead I need. Okay, got it. Okay, so. There you go. Okay, so. Strings coming out of the speed. We are going to skip the speed and go through the speed. So we're skipping a bead and going through that one. Okay. And from there, okay, good. So now we got that bead on. We can see there's these two beads right here. We are gonna go through this bottom bead. It should be below the one we just added. Go through the bottom and then go through that top bead we added. Okay, and that's how you close it off. When we do the other half, I'll show you again. This part's a little confusing. Not gonna lie, I kind of forgot this part for a hot minute, and I tried recording this video before. I ended up making whatever this is. It's cute, but it has some flaws on it. This back is kind of open. Yeah, so I had to redo this video and remake my friend's present. But yeah, okay, so this, I'm gonna go ahead and make this the, let's go ahead and make it the bottom. So, this top bead right here, that's gonna go ahead and be the tail. This is gonna be the very, very top bead. It's kind of in the middle. Well, there's 3 beads going on here. That one's going to be the tail. So, we're going to start working on the tail so you don't have to go all the way back. I'm going to go ahead and go through. Let me try to show on camera. So, the string's right here. I'm going to go through this bead right here. Oops. It's kind of below the top bead. And then we're going to go ahead and go through that very top bead in the middle-ish. Okay, now the string's coming out of that top bead. We're gonna grab a tail bead, so whatever color you want to make your tail, grab it. And we're gonna go through the bead again. So the string is coming out of the right side of the bead. We're gonna go through sorry. The string's coming out the right side of the bead. We're going to put the needle through the right side again. And this is the ladder part. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. This is the ladder part. So we're moving on to the ladder stitch for the tail. As you can see, they kind of stacked up on top of each other. So string's coming out the right. We're gonna go through this bead, going towards the left. We're going to grab another tail bead. And we're going to go through the right this time. I'm going to make this tail pretty short. I want this cat to have a short tail. I like that. That's good. Okay. So, you can make the tail as long as you want. I'm just going to make mine 3 beads tall. And then what we're going to do next is we need to we're going to work on the bottom feet. Okay, so kind of work your way through the beads with a needle. This is why I recommend a needle for this one, because without a needle, it's going to be kind of hard to get through all these different places. So we're just going to go through the beads until we get to a spot where we want a leg to be. So right now we're looking for back leg spots. So we're just gonna kind of I'm gonna try to show this on camera. I'm just kind of going through beads to get to the bottom. I'm trying to find a good spot. So, how I do the legs personally is I just add one bead and make it like little stubby legs because I think it's cute. For this one, I tried something different. I don't like it. Ugh. Okay, so. Okay, I think I'm at a good spot where I can put legs on. Or am I? Let me see. Okay, so for the legs, we're gonna grab one bead. I'm gonna use a lighter color. So, the string is coming out of this bead. We're gonna go through this bead right here. So, there's kind of like two beads by it. We're not gonna go for any of these beads. We're gonna go through this one right here. We have a little leg sticking out. Okay. And then again, strings coming out of this bead right here. There are two beads right here. We're not going to go through those. We're going to skip those. We're going to go through this next one that's kind of by itself. And that will make another leg. And on our way to the top, we can also, or the front. I'm sorry, I keep saying top. The front of the cat. When we make our way to the front of the cat, we can go ahead and also do the front legs too. Yeah, we can. Yeah. Okay, so now we got the two legs. Strings coming out of this bead. Two beads right here. Skipping those, going through this next one right here. Should I make the legs different colors? Yep, I should probably. Okay. There's one little leg, and the same thing here. Strings coming out of. Strings coming out of this bead. Skip these two beads. Go for this one. And then we can start closing off the front and making in the face and the ears and the whiskers. Okay, now we got the little feetsies done. We're gonna weave our way through again. We're doing a lot of weaving this time around, and we're gonna repeat what we did with the back closing area. So, like last time, strings coming out of this bead, where you're going to go through this bead with no bead on the string. And then, strings coming out of this bead, we're going to go through this bead. No, sorry. Strings coming out of this bead, we're going to go through this bead with a bead on the string. We use a darker color. Okay. And strings coming out of this side, go through this one, no bead on the string. And then strings coming out this side, go through this bead with a bead on the string. That's purple. That's not brown. Okay. Where's my browns? Oh, I'm running out of browns. Ugh. I don't know what that noise was. I'm sorry. Okay. Dang, this video is long. Okay. There we go. Bead. Strings coming out of this bead. Go through this bead. No bead on string. So once again, no bead on string, bead on string. No bead on string, bead on string. It's just a pattern. A very, calming, relaxing pattern. And it can get frustrating very fast if you forget. So, strings coming out of this bead, go through this bead with a bead on the string. Yippee. Okay. St. Gerard way. Okay, good. This is gonna be easy to show because they're different colors. Okay. Makes my job easier. Okay, so strings coming out of the speed. We're gonna go through this speed with a bead on string. This whole row we're doing bead on string, bead on string, bead on string. So there's those little ones that are poking out. Bead on string, bead on string, bead on string. And then when we get to here, we're gonna go through the very first bead we put on. And then we're gonna take another bead. So, no, it's hard to see again. Strings coming out of this bead. We're not gonna go for the closest bead. We're gonna skip that bead and go through this bead. Okay. Now we're back. We got the two beads again. We're gonna go through the bottom of the bead we just added. We're gonna add a bead and then go through the top one. Now that area is closed like the bottom. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the spot to put the eyeballs. Coming out of the bead, we're gonna go through this bead with a bead on string. Okay, so now strings coming out of this bead, we're gonna weave in through this bead, so we're not gonna add a bead on the string. We're trying to move to the other side. Now the string's coming out of this bead, we're gonna go through this bead right here, not this bead, but this bead. And again, you can like put your eyes in like any way you want. I'm just trying to line mine up. You can like put them in all different kinds of directions and stuff. You can get very, very silly fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it. I should have done this before the eyes, man. What am I thinking? Okay, so we're just gonna weave in till we get to this very middle. Okay, so we are gonna go through this bead, and there's like a bead on top. We're gonna go through that one with a bead on string. So I'm gonna use pink again. There we go, we gotta do a nose. So I went in through this bottom bead, and I went in for this top one with a bead on string. Okay. Now we're gonna work on the whiskers. You can make your whiskers as long as you want. I usually like doing one bead again. Just because why not, you know? So this is like how we did the eyeballs and stuff. Of this bead, we're going to E. We're going to go for this bead right here. So not this bead, but this bead. E. Nope, that's black. Oops. Not brown. Weave it through again. the strings coming out of this bead. Skip these two, go through this one. Then we work on the freaking little ears. Yep, ears. Okay, so where can I put the ears at? We're gonna add 3 beads. What color or brown should I do? I'm just gonna do the, not the lightest brown, but the really light brown. Okay. String. Okay. String is coming out of this bead. We're gonna skip these 2 beads and go through this bead. Okay, strings coming out of this bead. Skip these 2, go through next one. And when I say these 2, I mean the 2 that are stacked up on each other. I just never realized. And then there you have it, a little cat. Mine looks a little rough. But, there's your little kitty. This one is a lot bigger and chubbier than this one, but it also has a different kind of mouth. Tie it off. I'm gonna pull very, very tight. And then, I don't know if I can show it. Tie it off. I would recommend tying it off, once again, like I said in the beginning, for the 5 times. I do 4 or 5 all the time. Especially if it's like a big project. And you can kind of squish in the face too to make it look less like a rat, because it kind of looks like a little rat. And there you have it. A little kitty cat. Yeah. This video was so long.